Hey everyone, welcome back to Williamson Ridge Outdoors. Today we're standing here at the back of the truck because we have another new product, and this is another new Ego product. So if you've been following the channel, you'll know that a while back I purchased a Ego Farm and Ranch battery chainsaw, and I was quite impressed with it. I decided that I would go ahead and purchase several other Ego products, and I got their string trimmer, I got their leaf blower, and now I have their 10-inch pole saw. So first of all, whenever it comes in the box, it is in pieces, but it's really easy to put together. And you pretty much just put the handle on it. And the handle has a flip latch right here, and it has a thumb screw right here. So another thing about this particular pole saw is the fact that it is telescoping. So you can go with the shortest length, and then in order to extend it, you just flip the lever, and your bar will extend. So for the rest of the assembly on it, it's really no problem at all. You just make sure your wing nut right here is loose. You have an arrow marked on the pole, and you're just going to line it up with the arrow marked on the pole saw, and you'll push it in until it clicks. And then you can just snug up the wing nut. It does have a hook back here on the back to hook a strap to if you want. I've not tried that out yet. That may be something we try out a little bit later. So one of the reasons I decided to go ahead with this Ego pole saw is the length of it. So I was looking for something that I can reach higher than what I can reach with my current pole saw. If you've been following the channel, you'll know that that's a Kobalt 40V pole saw, and that saw has been good and has really done a good job. I have cut a lot of tree limbs with that saw, and it's held up pretty well. It's actually getting to the point though, seems like there may be a short or something in the trigger. Sometimes when you hold it up and you go to pull the trigger, it just doesn't work, and then you pull it a couple times and it takes off. So that's one reason I decided to go ahead and replace it, and the fact that I wanted to get a longer reach. So this saw, sitting here in its shortest configuration, is about 7 feet 8 inches. And then you can extend it. That may be a little bit off down there, but it's going to be pretty close. And this right here is about 9 feet 8 inches. And then you can also buy this 3-foot extension, and they claim that you get a 17-foot reach by having this extension added to it. Now these are all carbon fiber poles and stuff here, and supposed to be very, very strong and durable. They have a lifetime warranty on the pole itself. So you should never have to worry about breaking or tearing your pole up on your pole saw. There's just a couple more things I want to show you real quick. It does have a metal bucking spike here on the tool itself. So that way whenever you're cutting a tree limb, you're getting some grip on there. You know, as your saw's angled back, your tree limb's basically hitting right here in this corner. Also, this does have a 10-inch bar on it, and it has their auto tensioning system, or not auto, but it's like it's basically a chain tensioner and tightener for your bar all in one package. So as you loosen this to take your bar off, it takes the slack out of your chain. As you tighten it, it actually tightens up your chain. So that makes for chain adjustment really easy. If it does get loose, you can just pull this loose, snug it up, your chain's ready to go. This does have the oiler on it, so you do need to make sure that you put bar oil in it before use. So that was just a little bit too tall without having that extra extension on there. But I can see that I can reach those limbs pretty easily once I add the extension on it. As you can see over here at this other tree, the limbs on it are hanging down only a few feet off the ground. So I mean, this is head height or face height right here. So they're right in your face as you're walking through. But if you look at the tree itself, the limbs are way up high. So you have to have a long reach pole saw to be able to get to those. So let's grab our saw and start trimming some of these out and see if we can't really raise this canopy up off the ground a lot. The bad thing about these pin oak trees is all those limbs hanging, they get tangled up in each other and they won't fall all the way out. So there's one thing, this thing is heavy when you're holding this thing out, you know, 12 and a half, 13 feet in front of you. It definitely gets a little heavy. So if you've been following along, I'm sure you've heard me complain about these pin oaks. I love the oak tree and I love the shade and what it provides around the yard, but man, do I hate dealing with them. The limbs and stuff are the only thing that I hate worse probably is a locust tree. If you get those old locusts that's got them big thorns on them, those are hard to deal with. But these trees, the limbs are just so prickly, and like there's so many of them that branch out. There's hundreds and hundreds of little branches on one branch, and they get so tangled up in each other. Like you cut one out and they hang up in the tree, and then you try to drag them, they're hanging up on everything else. They hang up on your clothes, you trip over them. That's why I went ahead too and moved this stuff, because you got one limb laying there and like it'll just grab you and just hang on to you. In fact, a minute ago, I had one grab a hold of my shirt, and it, you know, I couldn't get loose from it until I come back, and you have to kind of think about it and unhook yourself. It's almost like a fish hook. But anyways, you can see the canopy's going up a little bit, getting some of these limbs. I want to keep working my way around the tree, and hopefully I'll be able to cut up high enough to get these ones that are hanging way down low and make it to where I can get under it with the tractor, not be brushing my head all the time, or even, you know, the roll bar on the tractor. But you can see just in those few limbs that I've cut, I'm getting a pretty big pile of debris already, which that's going to make the perfect pile of brush for our Big Bear Power BBC 72 wood chipper. If you haven't seen any of those videos, make sure to go back and check those out, because I've got that 7-inch wood chipper and it absolutely demolishes the wood. So it's actually quite fun to use. So let's get back into it though. Well, I keep doing that. I don't know how to change that just yet. So I keep getting hung up as those branches come loose, and I've tried to cut them. I've tried to cut them from the bottom and then from the top, and it still happens. So I don't know exactly what to do there to get that to completely quit happening, but I definitely am not liking that, because you kind of have to cut it from the side and then it twists is what the problem is. But so I just got to thinking, maybe the idea here will be to start at the end of the branch and kind of work my way back so it's not pulling so much and breaking the branch out before I can saw through it. Man. That's definitely the better way to do it. Look what I got into on this one. So this tree limb's got a big hole in it. You can see those big ants and stuff in there. I started sawing through that and it started throwing them in my face. Hopefully, by getting rid of that limb though, it looks like the tree is solid where I cut it off, so hopefully that'll eliminate those ants from getting on in there and killing this tree out. Uh-oh, too much on that one. So as you can see there, there's still too much weight out there, and as it fell, it just pinched my bar and hung me up. So I'm gonna cut this one off. And then hopefully that'll relieve some of that weight. And go ahead and finish cutting it. So now, let me move this one out of my way. And let's start cutting this one back a little bit at a time. As you can see, I am at the full length pretty much of where I can reach. But that's how far these limbs actually hang down to the ground. Man, this thing does cut really good though. If you notice, my glass is fogging up and me sweating a lot, that's because this is hard work. Even though you have a pole saw to make things easier, it doesn't take the work completely out. And if you were using the pole saw only at its shortest reach at like 7.5 feet, it wouldn't be nearly the work. But whenever you've got it fully extended with the 3-foot extension on it, and you're holding that thing up to its max reach, when it falls, like you have to hold it by one hand, and then when it falls, you have to catch it. Well, and that thing being, 12.5 feet out to the end of it, there's a lot of weight out there with the motor and the oil tank and everything out there. And so it is a lot to catch, but it is doing the job and it is doing it well. My user error is causing most of the problems with like the bar pinching. Now I will say with our old Kobalt 40V, I never had that problem. That's why I'm having the trouble with this one. And I believe the reason why is because that Kobalt had like a 45-degree angle. So when you were standing back and you were sawing a limb, you were actually sawing it from the very top of it, not from the side of it. Where this one has a straight bar on it, whenever you're reached way up there high, you're sawing from the side. So as that limb breaks, it's twisting and as it's coming down. So every time it tends to pinch the bar and bind it up. So what I learned on this is if you take one of those long limbs and you start out towards the end where it's not nearly as heavy, you'll saw through it before it breaks off, and it'll just saw right through every single time. And then you can saw it back piece by piece all the way till you get to the tree, and then saw it off next to the tree if that's where you want to saw it to. So that actually is working out really good that way. And the saw chain speed is fast, it cuts well, it has plenty of power. I don't need more out of it, and it's really smooth. Like the chain is smooth. It's one thing with the Kobalt, it kind of was jerky. When it hooked, it would bite and hook a little bit, and this one doesn't do that at all. It's just super smooth all the way through the cut. A couple things I forgot to mention. One, this does have a fan on it. So back here at your battery, whenever you go to pull the trigger, you hear it turn the fan on? So I don't know if the fan is here to cool the battery because the motor for the pole saw is up there on the other end. So I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it's the electronics in here that it's cooling and trying to make sure that it keeps that stuff cool and you don't have any trouble with battery, electronics, and anything overheating. But it definitely has a fan in there that is cooling something back here where your trigger's at. So the other thing that this has, when you pull the trigger, notice the green light on the top that comes on. That is actually a cut line. So whenever you're at an angle and you can't see your bar, you can see that green light showing you where your bar is cutting at. So I don't know if you can tell how big these piles of brush are from the work that I just did, but there is a lot of tree limbs right here. So I'm really happy though with the height of that. If I can get the tree to keep growing up and these bottom limbs continue to just go higher and higher and not keep coming down to the ground, that would be the idea solution, is to kind of pretty much eliminate that. So that's going to wrap it up for our initial use, and I'm going to call it a break-in on our Ego 56-volt brushless battery pole saw. I'm going to have to say that I'm just as impressed with this pole saw as I am with all the other products that I've gotten so far from Ego. If you follow along, you'll know too that I am buying these. I'm not, they're not sending them to me. I am buying all these products, and I'm not biased in any way towards brand or somebody giving me stuff or whatever. This is all purchased with my own money. That being said, I appreciate you subscribe or follow along, share this video with anybody you know too, because that really helps out the channel. And in order for me to continue buying stuff like this, it does take a lot of money. So any support, I'd really appreciate that. But back to the pole saw. Overall, I have to say I am very happy with that. But I love the speed of it. I love the power of it. It's much faster and much more powerful, I believe, than the old Kobalt 40V, which that was a great pole saw. It just was time to update and get something new. So this is just the debris from one tree, and I've got 2 more over here that need the same exact thing done. I've got several other trees around the front. I've got a whole bunch of work for this Ego pole saw. So follow along, because you're going to see this thing really put to the test. There's going to be tons and tons and tons of tree limbs cut with this thing, and we'll just see how well this thing actually holds up. So thanks for watching the video today. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to check out some more of our videos, I'll leave links here at the end of this one where you can check those out. And until next time, I'll see you Outdoors.